What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Q&A, the show where I take your questions from YouTube and Twitter and answer them here in video format on this show. And the first question we have today is from 80s Takeover, who says, what's your take on the XFL dissolving, and do you see any players from that league that you would like to see on the Browns? So my take about the XFL dissolving is that, one, it's sad. It's incredibly sad because, with this being the second spring football league in a row that's shut down after its first year, it just seems like the death blow to spring football for at least my generation. I think both the AAF from a on-the-field standpoint and the XFL from a on-the-field standpoint did everything right. Now, behind the scenes, obviously the AAF was not built out right. The XFL did seem to be built out right, but apparently they couldn't handle the current situation in the stoppage. So apparently that had a massive effect on their ability to run. It's just very disappointing because it's more than likely a death blow to spring football leagues, which is going to be the premature death blow to a lot of young football players' careers who might end now because they don't have that opportunity for a second chance in the XFL. A guy like PJ Walker, who's going to be on the Carolina Panthers this year and have a chance to compete for a backup job, maybe even the starting job, might have not had any more chances left in the NFL if it weren't for the XFL. It's just a whole ecosystem of players now have even less choices in a marketplace that doesn't offer a lot of choices, and that is ultimately sad. Now, to the second part of your question, are there any players from that league I would like to see on the Browns? I'd like to see the Browns take a look at Cam Phillips. I think he can fill kind of that backup Jarvis Landry role. He actually reminds me a lot of Jarvis Landry in that he's not a fast guy or a big guy, but he plays big and he runs really, really good routes. I think him and Jarvis kind of match up like that, and I think Jarvis can teach him a lot and help him develop. So I would love to see the Browns go after Cam Phillips as kind of a developmental piece, because I think Jarvis can impart a lot of his knowledge to somebody who's a similar mold to him, like a Cam Phillips. Next question is from Chucky Martin, who says, if the college season gets pushed back, do you see players who are going to be eligible in the 21 draft skipping it to prepare for the draft? Rumors say the college season might finish after the draft. All right, so my first thought about this is it'd be interesting, right, if they had to postpone it and then it clashed with the draft. I think you will see a lot of players just not playing the postseason, and I think it will accelerate kind of these players who already don't want to play a large chunk of their senior years in order to make sure they're eligible for the draft. And this time, under this circumstance, I think not a lot of college football fans are going to have a problem with that. Because ultimately, if you play college football at a major university, you aren't going there to study whatever scholarship that you get from that major university. That's just not the case. You're going there to study football. That's what you're majoring in, is football. And it would be silly while you're majoring to graduate college in football studies, let's say, to pass up the biggest job opportunity in the world for football studies majors. It wouldn't make any sense in any other setting, so it wouldn't make sense in college football. The issue that college football is going to have is, I don't know if they're going to be able to have the players to be able to have a season if they have to do this in any adjusted way. Now, if it's after everything's done and this thing gets cleared up by October or September and everything's back to normal, then yeah, this is just probably going to not really affect it. But if this thing goes further, like into November, where we're still at stay-at-home guidelines, I can see why NBA players or NFL players or, even baseball players, professional athletes would want to be able to find some way to do a version of the game that they can do, because that's ultimately how they get paid. That's how the checks get cut. So I get why the professional athletes would do it. I have no idea why any college athlete would choose to play in the midst of a pandemic if there's still stay-at-home guidelines and it's not safe. One, you're risking your own safety. And then two, if you're Trevor Lawrence, right, and you're pretty much going to be the first pick of the draft, and all this craziness is going on, you're going to have a shortened camp, and you're just going to be playing, even if you get to play under weird circumstances where it's not going to be a full season and you're not playing in front of fans and there's a stay-at-home guideline. What incentive do you have to go out there and actually play if you're Trevor Lawrence? You're not going to have the feeling of playing college football because there's going to be no fans. You're not going to have a check cut to you because you're not being paid. And then also all you really are doing out there at this point is just risking your ability to, one, be healthy. And then with this virus, even if you're young, you could have long-term lung defects in your body. So you could ultimately have your career ended because you got sick from this. So it's just a risk that why, if you're a Trevor Lawrence, would you be willing to take? So, I think the other leagues are going to have their hands full with adjusting to this if this goes into the fall, which I hope it doesn't. But I think the league that's going to have the most trouble is college football because, when it comes to all these other teams, they're professionals and these guys need these checks just like everybody else to be cut. So they might have an incentive to go out there and play in these conditions. But if you're a top tier college football player, what is incentivizing you to play this season if it's going to be under any type of disruption? That's just how a lot of people are going to look at it, and I don't think I could blame them for it. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to affect the draft coming up after that. The next question comes from Ryan McGraw, who says, if Jadeveon Clowney gets signed, could Cleveland look somewhat like San Francisco's team of last year? No. They will be better. They will be able to stop the run a little bit better, but they aren't going to look like San Francisco. Let me make that clear. Because San Francisco has 4 great defensive linemen. The Browns would have 2 great defensive linemen and then 2 guys in the middle who are all right. And they're not going to look like San Francisco last year, but they're going to be significantly better against the run. But, I would temper my expectations if you think signing Jadeveon Clowney is going to give you the San Francisco 49ers legendary defensive line from last year. I don't think that's happening. The next question comes from Donut Nizzle, who says, I hear a lot of talk from Cleveland media about safety being one of the top needs for the Browns, even after acquiring 2 safeties in free agency. Personally, with how Redwine finished last year after the 2 signings, I think they've done enough to shore up the position. What are your thoughts? I have a different opinion about Sheldrick Redwine than you do. I don't think he's good. I think he is bad. I don't know if he's going to make the team this year. But, if you have a positive opinion about him, just know that's where we differ when we talk about safeties. Now, for me, I'm not as worried about safety as the rest of the local media in Cleveland because, one, I don't think safety is that dire of a need. I think defensive line is much more of a need than any other need on defense, including linebacker and especially safety. I think the Browns are pretty okay there. They could probably fill in some of those holes in the 2nd or 3rd round if they really wanted to, but I think they're fine in that area. So yeah, I think they probably are focusing on it too much, but it really depends on what your opinion is of Redwine and what you think of the options out there. I don't think there's a lot of great free agency options out there at safety. And I think safety is starting to become an overpriced position too, if you look at the money that just average safeties like Eric Murray are signing for. So I would solve that problem in the draft, and I think they'll be fine. The next question comes from Twitter, and it's from Hef Curry, who says, start 1, bench 1, cut 1, Brandon Weeden, Charlie Fry, Spurgeon win. I'm cutting Brandon Weeden. Okay, that's just, Brandon Weeden's the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life. I hate Brandon Weeden. Well, not the person, but the quarterback. Cut 1, we go between Spurgeon win and Charlie Fry. Now, Charlie Fry wasn't good. He threw a lot of bad interceptions, but he was local. He went to Akron. He was a little exciting, but he ultimately got replaced by Derek Anderson, so that's not impressive. And then you go Spurgeon Wynn, and he sucked. He was a dude who was like average in FCS, and we drafted him in the same round Tom Brady went, in the same draft that Tom Brady went. So, he's going to get benched. Charlie Fry's going to get start. That's how it go. Let me know how you guys would do it in the comment section down below. Next question comes from Dom Jones, who says, preparing to be a run-first do you think you see more of both Chubb and Hunt on the field at the same time, or Hunt coming in as a relief guy? I know Chubb is our guy, but I don't want the Browns to underutilize what Hunt can bring to the table. What's your feels on it? I think similar to what they did last year. I think if the Browns did anything good last year was their use of Kareem Hunt when he came back. So I think you're going to see a lot of 2 running back shotgun formations. I think you're going to see a lot of like de facto Kareem Hunt being like the 3rd wide receiver in a 2 tight end set when they have Odell, Jarvis, Austin Hooper, and David Njoku out there. They might have, Nick Chubb and Hunt out there, and have Hunt, go out and be a receiving option. So I think there's going to be a lot of use for Kareem Hunt in this offense. I think Kareem Hunt is not going to take a ton of carries. I don't think that's how they're going to use him. I don't think that's the best way to use him. I think Nick Chubb should probably take the bulk of the carries, but, I think Kareem Hunt's probably going to be used as kind of like a 3rd wide receiver and then kind of a special down running back. And I think they'll be able to get a lot out of him with that. Next question comes from Brian RMW, who says, what would the Browns have to do to make you hate the new uniforms? Not change them at all and keep the letters on the brown jersey orange. I hate the orange letters. Even on the color rush, I think it's still ugly. You can't see them from up high. It's just bad. I don't like the orange letters. If you're going to have a brown jersey, get the numbers to be white. You can do an orange outline. I don't mind that. But the orange numbers, it's just ugly as all. It looks like losing. I said it before, but it looks like losing. The next question comes from America's Underdog, who says, do you have any concerns that social distancing and Landry's rehab will threaten Baker Mayfield's progression this offseason? We have already saw how Odell's reduced presence last year hurt his chemistry with Baker. The reduced offseason 10 years ago also hurt players. Now, from that standpoint, I'm interested in about like how this is going to affect players' health, because everybody's going to be on these kind of like restricted off seasons. So, I don't think this is going to help a lot of people, but, it's also everybody's dealt this hand. Everybody has been dealt this bad hand. Now, as far as injuries go, both these guys coming off injuries, they weren't going to be healthy during camp anyways. So I don't think they were going to be able to really maintain a lot of chemistry or rebuild a lot of chemistry during that time anyways, because Odell was going to be hurt for most of the year, recovering for his surgery, and then Jarvis is also recovering from surgery. He was going to be out for most of training camp. So you're probably not losing a lot from that standpoint. As far as Baker Mayfield's progression goes, you can't blame it on this, though. You can't, because everybody's getting blamed, like getting this. This is the hand everybody's being dealt. So, ultimately it's up to him when it comes to, football. So, yeah, can it affect his progression? Sure, but it's going to affect everybody else's progression in the league, and this is not going to just be something that only affects Baker Mayfield. So, as far as being worried about it, I think if he puts his work in, it's going to show, and if he ain't putting any work in, it's really going to show, and it ain't going to really matter what's going on with this whole virus right now. Next question comes from Pangas7, who says, do you think the linebacker position will be covered by the draft or signing? A mixture of both. I think they're probably going to sign somebody like a veteran later on in the year, and then they're probably going to draft somebody to fill in and compete with Sione Takitaki on that other spot. But, as far as linebacker goes, I think they have their main guy in Mack Wilson. They might bring in another guy, but yeah, I think they're pretty set on linebacker. I think they probably just have to draft one or two in probably the 3rd day of the draft. But that's all the questions for today. Thank you guys for asking these questions. Thank you guys for watching the show. And don't forget, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload. And let me know down in the comment section below who is but let me know down in the comment section below. What would the Browns have to do to make the uniforms ugly to you? Everybody's talking about the uniforms, so let me know down there what you think about it. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.